Hello and welcome to my channel. It's me. Today we are talking about beyond the basics, specifically when it comes to our everyday ingredients. There's probably at least one of these that you use every single day, and when it comes to condiments, I'm not really a fan of any of them. And unfortunately, it does contain small amounts of gluten. I think we know better than to eat white rice or white bread every single day. However, it is convenient. So what are some alternatives? What are some natural alternatives? Well, monk fruit is great. I love the taste of monk fruit. So what can you do instead? Well, you can buy low-sodium chicken broth or vegetable broth and you can make your own soup. It's so simple. Or you can just have a salad. These are all super convenient, but they're also super unhealthy. So what can you do instead? Margarine contains unhealthy trans fats, and it's not good for your heart. So what can you do instead? Well, if you need a spread on your bread, I would recommend having avocado oil. Avocado oil is a great healthy fat, and it's also very anti-inflammatory. They're usually filled with unhealthy ingredients, and sometimes, even if it says low carb or reduced fat on the front, doesn't mean it's actually healthy. So what can you do instead? Well, you can always just make a salad, but what can you do instead? Well, if you're craving something salty, I would recommend having that protein shake with a little bit of sea salt in it. Well, soda pop is just pure sugar. It's not even natural sugar, it's highly processed. So what can you do instead? Well, I would recommend carbonated water. Carbonated water is a great option now. Flavored yogurts usually contain added sugar. So what can you do instead? Well, you can buy plain Greek yogurt and then add your own flavor with fruit and a little bit of stevia or monk fruit. You can also add that stevia or monk fruit or raw honey. You can make your own flavored sparkling waters at home. Now, salt is okay in moderation. So what can you do instead? Well, I would recommend seasoning your food with herbs and spices instead of using salt. It's really simple. Now, maltodextrin is a filler ingredient that's found in lots of packaged foods. It's considered safe by the FDA, but personally, I'd rather leave it out of my diet. What can you do instead? Well, when you're buying packaged foods, just look at the ingredient list and avoid anything with maltodextrin in it. If you're craving something sweet, I would recommend having the fruit with a little bit of stevia or monk fruit. Well, I would recommend just buying fresh ears of corn. You can also buy frozen corn. Just make sure it's not the kind that's in a can. So what can you do instead? Well, if you want something bubbly, I would recommend having carbonated water, and that means that it's raised with antibiotics and hormones. So what can you do instead? And if you can't afford it, just buy the highest quality that you can afford. If you want something warm, I would recommend having herbal tea. There are so many delicious herbal teas out there. Personally, I love lemon balm. Lemon balm is very calming and relaxing. And if you're craving something more substantial, I would recommend that salad or that leftover option. Having a salad every single night is not a bad idea. However, if you have caffeine sensitivity, what can you do instead? Well, I would recommend having water. Water is the best option. Or you can have sparkling water. Well, you can switch to decaf. Or you can have that herbal tea that I talked about earlier. You can have leftovers. Or you can even use that broth I talked about earlier and make your own soup. You can also have grass-fed butter. Grass-fed butter is a little bit higher in saturated fat, but it's a healthier option than margarine. It also contains vitamin D and vitamin A. Well, I would recommend fruits or vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are great. All of these are highly processed, highly inflammatory. So what can you do instead? Well, you can use avocado oil. BHA is found in lots of popcorn and chips. It's also found in cereals, and this chemical is classified as a possible human carcinogen. Another preservative that you might be having every single day is something called BHT, and BHT is found in cereals, candies, gum, and it's also classified as a possible human carcinogen. And then there's something called sorbic acid. Sorbic acid is found in cheese, wine, fruit, juice, jams, jellies, and it's considered safe by the FDA, but it can cause irritation to your skin and eyes. So what can you do instead? Well, I would recommend reading the ingredient list on anything that you buy. If you see any of these preservatives, just put it back shop. The perimeter of the grocery store where you going to find fresh food that doesn't contain preservatives. You can also use extra virgin olive oil. And if you are looking for a high smoke point, you can use avocado oil. When it comes to cooking, avocado oil is great. So what can you do instead? Well, you can make your own baked potato chips. Baked potato chips are a little bit healthier. You can also roast your own vegetables. You can roast beets. You can roast carrots. Those are really delicious, and they're so much healthier than potato chips. If you want a salty snack, you can buy a bag of nuts, and then you can season them yourself with sea salt. So what can you do instead? Well, you can use stevia, you can use monk fruit, you can use raw honey, you can use maple syrup, or you can use coconut sugar. Now, I would reserve these for special occasions only because they still are concentrated sources of calories, so you don't want to overdo it. But if you want something sweet every single day, I would recommend fruit. Fruit is a great option. If you want a crunchy snack, you can always roast chickpeas. Chickpeas are great, or you can buy a bag of kale chips. Make sure you check the ingredient list. Sometimes the kale chips do have added oils, so you want to make sure you read that ingredient list. It's kind of similar to stevia, but it's a little bit sweeter. So what are some alternatives? Well, you can always just have leftovers. Leftovers are great. You can also have sliced avocado. This is a really nice protein option. Or you can have hard-boiled eggs. You can put those on your sandwich. And if you're looking for a different type of protein, you can also buy canned tuna and just put that on your sandwich. I find that stevia is a little bit bitter, but you can use either one. You can also use raw honey. Now, when it comes to baking, you can use coconut sugar. Well, if you have a sweet tooth in the afternoon, I would recommend having that fruit with a little bit of stevia or monk fruit. If you want something more substantial, you can have a handful of nuts or a protein shake. Protein shakes are really filling. Personally, I'm not a big fan of protein bars. I find them a little bit too sweet. But when it comes to a protein powder, you can mix that with water or milk, and it's a great afternoon snack. Coconut sugar is a little bit lower on the glycemic index. And when it comes to beverages, you can use maple syrup. Now, I would recommend using maple syrup in a baked good because it does have a lower boiling point. So if you're going to use maple syrup, I would recommend using it in a beverage or maybe on top of toast. Well, you can always go with brown rice. That's a little bit healthier. Or you can go with wild rice. That's actually a little bit healthier than brown rice. And then when it comes to bread, you can either go with seeded whole grain bread or seeded whole wheat bread. They're filled with refined carbohydrates, seed oils, and they're usually loaded with added sugars. So what are some alternatives? Well, there's nothing wrong with eggs. Eggs are great. You can add a little bit of nutritional yeast to them if you want a cheesy flavor, or you can just enjoy eggs as they are. Also, fruit is a great option, as well as plain Greek yogurt. Now, if you're looking for something sweet in the morning, you can always use a natural sweetener, like stevia berry flavored. Stevia is really delicious in the morning. It kind of takes care of that sweet tooth, so definitely check that out. So what can you do instead? Well, there are other types of yeast that don't contain gluten, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of yeast. If you are looking for an alternative, you can just leave it out, or you can use that same whole wheat pastry flour again. However, I will say that there are a few that are less bad than others. So if you are looking to upgrade your ketchup or your mustard, go with a brand that has no added sugar. I like French's brand of mustard. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than most, and I would recommend Dijon mustard versus yellow mustard. Ketchup is tough. We all love ketchup, especially if you're from the Northeast like me. But the good news is that you can actually make your own ketchup, and it's surprisingly easy. Same thing goes for barbecue sauce. You can actually make your own, and it is so delicious. Try that and see how much better it is for you. Also, mayonnaise. We use this almost every single day in sandwiches or on top of salads. Again, you can make your own mayonnaise and you can control the ingredients. And if you want to learn how to make your own mayonnaise, comment below and I will definitely share that recipe with you. But overall, when it comes to condiments, they're best used sparingly and definitely not every single day. The 26 ingredients that I tell people to avoid in their everyday cooking or eating or baking even. So it will react with acidic ingredients in a recipe to create air pockets. And when it comes to baking powder, this is a combination of baking soda plus an acid. So it's going to produce the same result. But when it comes to health, both of these have aluminum in them, which is definitely something that you want to avoid consuming every single day. So what are the alternatives? Well, if you are baking, you can replace both of these with a 1-to-1 ratio of whole wheat pastry flour. Now, this is different from regular whole wheat flour. Whole wheat pastry flour has a little bit more starch in it, so it's not as dense. So it's going to work very similarly to baking soda or baking powder. Give it a try. But what if you have them in your pantry already? What are some of the options? Okay, let's get started. It's also a base. It's used in bread, pizza dough, things like that. No, for processed breakfast foods. Now, the two biggest offenders here are breakfast cereals and toaster pastries. No. 5. White rice and white bread. No. 6. Artificial sweeteners. Now, there's been a lot of research linking artificial sweeteners to gut health issues, insulin resistance, and even cancer. No. 7. Canned soups. Now, deli meats are usually high in sodium, and they also contain unhealthy ingredients like canola oil or other seed oils. No. 9. Packaged snacks. Well, obviously these are not the healthiest options, so what can you do instead? Number 11. Margarine. Now, liquid cooking oils are usually in the form of canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil. Number 13, sugar. Well, I don't think we really need to explain why we shouldn't eat sugar every single day. Number 14, frozen meals. Now, these are super convenient. I get it. Number 15, potato chips. Well, potato chips are highly processed. They're fried in unhealthy seed oils. They're high in sodium. Number 16, fast food. Well, I think we all know that fast food isn't the healthiest option. Well, alcohol is definitely not the healthiest option. Number 19, flavored yogurts. Number 20, caffeinated beverages. Now, soft drinks are usually high in sodium. Number 22, preservatives. Now, there are several preservatives that you might be eating every single day without even realizing it. The first one is called BHA. Number 23, salt. Number 24, maltodextrin. Number 26, conventional chicken and conventional beef. Unfortunately, the majority of the beef and chicken sold in grocery stores is conventional. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.